Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Nadex Morning Analysis, where we look at hot spots in the markets for today. And today, it was non-farm payroll day, so we've got a little bit to talk about this morning. My name is Todd Rich. I am with Nadex. Normally, I would have Brian Caprice from Keep Trading Simple with me. However, as we mentioned yesterday, Brian and his wife Melissa did indeed have a little boy in the middle of the night last night, so Brian will not be joining. This episode is dedicated to young Kip. Welcome to the world, Kip. We're glad to have you, and he is a handsome, handsome little boy. So congratulations to the Caprice family for the new addition. Before I jump into it this morning, I do need to share this disclaimer because the sessions are sponsored by our compliance department. And I need to share that trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for everyone, that any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. And lastly, this is an educational session. Please do not construe anything I say as a buy or sell recommendation. I'm doing this for your education purposes. Let's talk about what we've got going on in the markets this morning, what everyone's talking about this morning. Whoops, I clicked the wrong button. Here we go. I want to share this, and it's a little bit of a surprise. It's a little bit of a surprise, but it's in the markets, it's a little bit of a ho-hum in certain places, which kind of surprises me. So we did have our non-farm payroll numbers come in. We were expecting to add 500,000 people to the payrolls. That didn't even come close. It came in less than 200,000. It's a pretty big miss. A little disconcerting, although we did see the unemployment rate drop. We saw the unemployment rate drop. It was previously 5.2%, came down to 4.8%. In fact, I would drop this link in, and I don't have it handy. But let's keep rolling through it. Now, why did we miss on non-farm payrolls? And the consensus seems to be that while there are still jobs to be had out there, and there are a lot of open positions, companies are finding it hard to hire people. And the thought is, with the highly infectious Delta variant of COVID, that a lot of people are still hesitant to go back to work. A lot of people don't want to take work because they don't want to go get COVID. And the other challenge is a lot of families are keeping somebody at home to take care of the kids because a lot of schools aren't even reopening. And even where the schools are reopening, I can tell you here in Chicago, they're elementary schools. They're having entire classes get exposed to COVID and having to send classes of kids home, and they're going to have to quarantine for a while before they can bring them back. So with some of these challenges still around the pandemic, we're still seeing people a little less hesitant to step back into the job market. Non-farm payrolls came in way lower than expected. Now, what does that mean for the markets? Interestingly enough, the one hotspot, the hotspots have been precious metals and the dollar. The dollar has seen some significant weakness. We can see, and I'm going to actually jump into some of these charts. But before I get over there, I kind of wanted to first take a look at the indices. And the indices, it is a little bit of a ho-hum. They really didn't react too much to it at all. We're now actually seeing a little bit of a sell-off. In fact, I want to take a quick peek here. Yeah, I mean, it really is nothing much. Markets they're mixed, but they're really not doing much of anything. The Dow's down a little bit, and then if we take a look at the Nasdaq, it's actually up a little bit. So interesting. Not much of a reaction in the equity markets on the big non-farm payroll miss. Now, where are we actually seeing that action? And that is, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to take a peek over here at gold. Let's bring up that chart of gold again. There we go. All right, now I'm actually, you know what? I'm on a 15-minute chart right now. You can actually see on these short duration binary options, it completely blew through all the strikes, and we're seeing a slight pullback. right now. I kind of wanted to show you the levels that I was seeing. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to go to a an hour chart. Here we go. I'm having to run this all by myself this morning. There's a lot to click on. Here we go. So, when I actually look back and I take a step back on gold, this is an hourly chart of gold. I dropped some Fibonacci's from its highs. Uh, from its highs about a month back, where we were up above 1800. We were up at 1840. We were up at 1840, and we know gold absolutely has been decimated, dropped down to 1720. And we're seeing right now, when I drop these fibs in, that actually, that 50% retracement level, we just touched it this morning, or just got very, very close to touching it, which I would sort of expect gold now to probably uh, base. Find a base right here in this area someplace on the 50% retracement. I'm going to drop this back down to 15 minutes again so you can actually see um, what we did. We just got short of it. We nearly touched that 50% retracement level, but this is one of the hot spots in the markets. Gold is moving around with the U.S. Economy. While we want the economy recovering, we want to see that economy pushing along. It's not going to go anywhere if we don't have people and employees helping it along. And until people start coming back, start taking some of those open jobs, it's going to be a little more of a rough road for the economy to come back. The other hot spot this morning was silver, and I'm going to bring up the chart of silver, and it looks very similar to that chart of, I mean, silver even more so. Silver's made a very significant move. I'm going to drop that back to a 1 hour chart, and let's take a look at what's happened to silver. In fact, I'm going to drop that same Fibonacci right back in here that I did on the gold, from its highs to its lows. Silver is also trying to get to that 50% retracement. You can see, I mean, it's just shy of it. So we'll keep an eye on that this morning. I am going to drop this back down to a 15 so you can see a little bit easier where that is. We're just coming back. So precious metals pushing their way back, trying to regain and retrace the losses they've seen over the last month. Now, along with, by the way, while I'm here, you can see that ho hum in the, not much going on. Oddly, we've had all of our volatility before this has been in the energies, right? Oil not doing much of anything this morning, and even nat gas, which has been all over the place, also not doing very much this morning. So this non-farm payroll, people sort of have stepped on the sidelines, taken a pause on the energies, and it's all been in the precious metals. And we've seen gold and silver do a fairly significant spike. Equities also, and I'm going to do a quick check on those equities. Again, not doing much of anything. Now, the dollar, on the other hand, is seeing some weakness. So let's take a peek. I am going to jump over and we'll just work our way through some of these. Let's start with the euro dollar, and we'll bring up a chart of the euro dollar, and look at this. We're actually doing some retracement. This is on a 15-minute chart. We did see an immediate dollar weakness. We're seeing that actually pull back. This is now also turning into, uh, well, I don't know. Actually, you know what? This pullback might have been the initial profit taking, right? We saw a fairly significant move right when the number came out. It was a pretty wild candle with dollar weakness, and it's pulled back. Could be some profit taking. We might see some more dollar weakness. I think we might see a little bit stronger move in the dollar and some of these other currency pairs. Let's take a look at the pound dollar very quickly. I'm going to bring up the pound dollar. A similar move, again, not monster move, a wild candle during the actual non-farm payroll numbers, right? So people digesting that information right as it comes out. There was some fairly significant volatility, and we'll see how that manifests as the retail trader steps into the market shortly. Where did we see stronger dollar weakness? And that, when we could take a look at the franc and the yen, and when we take a look at the franc and the yen, we'll see that there was actually a much larger move. So here's the U.S. dollar against the Swiss franc. Where are we looking for some levels? I mean, this was actually a fairly big move. Again, trying to come back a little bit. I am going to back this up a little bit on a 15-minute chart. And I like to put in these Fibonacci's and take a look at where some of these retracement levels are. I find that it helps when it's making large moves like this. Let's drop that Fibonacci retracement in, top to bottom, drag it over. This actually would have been a level where we would have looked to have seen it come down to this 23.6, which it touched and bounced off of. Um, So I think the lesson here is going into some of these events, these Fibonacci's can actually help you look for levels where you might see, roughly where a move might go to and where you can get into or out of a trade. All right. Lastly, I wanted to take a look at one more. Here we go. The dollar yen, and again, this a fairly significant. Oh, look at this, and it's also trying to come back. In fact, hmm, that's actually really interesting. I would expect to see continued dollar weakness, and these are fairly big moves. And when you take a look at what's gone on with the dollar yen, this is a pretty big candle spike down. Dollar weakness. It actually tried to come back, and it's still showing continued weakness. This might be the spot where you could see some volatility and look for some trading action. Oh, look at that, starting to turn green a little bit. And if we were to, I mean, the yen has been all over the place against the dollar. Uh, but looking for that short-term trading opportunity, I would say take a look at those shorter duration binary options right now as traders digest what's going on with these unfortunate. And here I'm going to bring them back up again. There we go. With some of these unfortunate non-farm payroll numbers, this is what everyone's going to be talking about today. I mean, forecast to come in at 500,000, coming in way below expectations. Uh, Unemployment rate dropping a little bit. That's always kind of nice, but participation rate staying steady, which is actually a good thing. Although we would have liked to have seen that number climb, but it wasn't going to do that when we see a miss like that. With that, I want to remind you that you can always feel free to reach out to Nadex. If you've got any questions, please email us, customerservice@nadex.com. Brian should be back on Monday. Again, I want to congratulate the Caprice family on the new edition. Very exciting times. We've had Jen on the show, sneaking in every once in a while, climbing up onto Brian's lap. Well, now she's got a younger brother. And I think we're all excited about that. Again, story of the day, non-farm payroll numbers missing materially. Equity markets not really doing much of anything at the moment. We're not seeing energy markets do much of anything in the moment, but where we are seeing the action, those precious metals, gold and silver, both absolutely took off. Look for some interesting levels in there and look for some volatility. And the dollar seeing immediate weakness, and you're really seeing some of those more significant moves over there and volatility in the dollar Swiss and the dollar yen. With that, I want to wish everyone a happy weekend. Enjoy your weekend. I know Monday is a holiday for some folks. We will be on Monday morning. I'll be around because Nadex is open. Brian should be back. And until then, want to wish everyone good luck in the markets.